Good evening, everyone. Hope you had a good weekend, a positive good weekend. So, excuse me, I've got a bit of a flu. So we switching it up a little. We'll see how it goes, though. It's the first Tuesday that we're doing this. It's also taking care of the needs of the CFD traders. Usually on my webinars on Tuesdays and Thursdays, it's more for the position trader who wants a long-term outlook for their shares, as in which shares, once they break out, what are the levels and where do you expect them to go in the long term. But there is quite a large amount of CFD traders, and please do remember when you trade CFDs, it's completely different. If this is new for you, please do your research. They are quite risky, but also very lucrative if you have a good trading strategy. And what I developed, excuse me, is a model. Let me just try and share my screen. I think I'm not sharing. Let me duplicate. Oh, right. So I need to know which. Okay, I've got two screens here. I just want to make sure. Are you seeing the screen with the top 40 index shares, or the other Excel, which has got bull or bear trend? I'm not too sure. I usually do this in a presentation format. Please can you just drop me a mail if you're not seeing. It's written CFD top 40 index shares. That's what it is. If you're seeing that, give me a thumbs up. If not, then I'm going to have to switch my screens. All right, I'll just continue in the hope that you're seeing the right screen. All right, which is the one where my cursor's dancing around. Let's see. Oops, let's see. Okay, cool, great. All right, so basically, excuse me, this is how the model that I've built kind of looks like, which we're going to now implement onto onto our site. So you can see the proper view of it being like this, where it gives you the resistance levels, that being your buying levels, and what the potential upside is, stop losses, what potential gain is, and then just the bearish end of things, your support level. Let me see. I think there's a question. No. Okay, cool. Thank you. Let me move it to the side. All right. Now I think you'll probably be able to see that. Thanks, guys. Okay. So let me show you this again. So hopefully you're seeing the right one. Okay, so this is how the complete model looks based on top 40 shares, as you can see there, listed there. And I built that just to, instead of having to look at the shares frequently, is for it to give me a signal when they breach those particular levels and then come up with a trading strategy. So this will be now put onto our site soon by the developer. Right now, we're just concentrating on giving you the signals, shares that have already triggered some signals. It's either approaching the buying level or approaching the selling level. If it's a buy, this would say don't buy yet because its RSI is overbought and so on. So it kind of guides you as to how you should trade it. The finished product that you've been getting on Telegram looks pretty much like this. And what I've done here is I've filtered out shares that are not giving signals, the ones with blanks here. And I used to write a little spiel of what's going to happen and how to do a trading strategy, but was advised that this is probably best in terms of just having to peruse through the chart. I know people are inundated with information, so time to read is sometimes very impossible to get that time to read. So this is basically how it's now coming, how I am presenting it on Telegram, where it would give a trade idea, giving a possible buy because it's, in this case, approaching a buying level, that being the level that's going to approach. And obviously when it does trade above it, it turns green. All right. So there are about 16 shares that have breached buying level, which is kind of insinuating that the market is starting to, or Shaylee said, the sentiment is starting to pick up on the bullish end. But you just need to keep an eye on them. And this is when I mentioned, what I'll do now is just look at the charts for every single share that's that is giving me any signal, whether it's a buy or a sell. I just want to also point out, if something is in a bear trend but it gives you a buy, that's okay. It means it's recovering within that bear trend. And if at all there is a lot of upside potential to its resistance trend line, then I will add it onto in the model For example, with PRX, it's still in its bear trend, but once it breaches that level, the next upside potential will be at 1020. 310, which is a 16% move, it's something you don't want to miss out on should it pan out the way as anticipated. I also kind of included the weekly RSI because it's quite important to look at what the weekly RSI is doing. For example, there's no point in getting into a share, CFD share, knowing that the RSI is extremely overbought and has been chilling in overbought territory for an extended period. That will then, it's usually a very low probability trade that, so it's always, I add the weekly RSI because if the weekly RSI is not trading, if it's a buy, if it's not trading above 85, I would say, excuse me, and if it's a sell and it's not trading below 20, then it gives you room to just, you know, initiate the position. All right. If you have any questions, you can drop me a message, but I'll just continue with the charts now. So I give you the daily, let me just finish off with the RSIs. I give you the weekly, so it can just give you an idea, because RSIs are basically momentum indicators. They study how fast the momentum is going and when it's overbought or oversold. Very critical information you need, because if the weekly RSI is in either extremities, either side of the pendulum, either overbought or oversold, obviously if it's overbought, it means you should expect a pullback. So if at all it's triggered out buy and your weekly RSI is extremely overbought, it means that trade may not pan out, or it may not test its target, because the weekly RSI could trigger for the day traders, definitely could trigger downside movement. And then the opposite rings true with the RSI being oversold. Okay, so I have to add, I usually really look at the weekly RSI in order to know if I'm on safe ground when it comes to trading shares on the daily chart. Okay, so yeah, so this is just, as I said, it is this with replicated here, but with the hidden shares that have not tested levels. These levels are done on a weekly, they're done on a daily chart. So it means the entry levels are much sooner than what you would get on the on a weekly chart. All right, cool. So the first share, I'm just going to move this here so that I can be able to. Okay, so let's just take a look at the first share, which would be, where is it now? View here. So the first share in this case, we looked at BHG. So now the whole whole reasoning behind BHG. I mean, it's recently listed. No, it's been, BHP Billiton has been in stock exchange for a while. It's just they now listed overseas, and then they relisted with a different ticker now. So the reason why this becomes an interesting share to trade, should it reach to its buying level, as you may see, the buying level there is at 472.2045 rather. It's teetering on that resistance trend line of its bear trend. So it's been bearish for all this time, kind of forming those falling tops. But now it's breached that. And interestingly, its RSI has also maintained its uptrend, which then confirms that, you know, BHP Billiton has, you know, new buyers have now come in. I've kind of drawn this RSI because, to me, drawing trend lines on RSIs is quite important, because it's one, good for divergence in terms of giving you the heads up or confirmation of a breakout, and just to know if the trend is still in order. All right, so obviously if there is downside or there's sideways movement in the share, the RSI will kind of drop because it is a momentum indicator. But once the RSI breaks out of its bear trend, and then that then confirms that the, you know, upside through that level is a buy. All right, so as you may see, this was probably on Friday. It kind of traded through it, pulled back yesterday, and is kind of mattering now, but it is teetering on that 472.45 mark, which is a key level, as you may see. It was support, resistance, support, is becoming quite major resistance at this point in time. For as long as this RSI remains bullish, this share will still be on the watch list. So it's kind of pulling back currently because of its RSI being overbought. And remember, this is a daily chart. The overbought, oversold, it can get out and in quite rapidly than what it would do on a weekly chart. If I just move this to the weekly chart, you'll see the weekly chart is not overbought yet, which then makes this buying opportunity when this level is breached a good buy. So what I would suggest you do as a trading strategy, which I actually do love at this point, that it's come off from that overbought territory, so that when it does breach this 472.25 mark, it's not overbought, and we just saw the weekly gave us the thumbs up. So this call would make a good call when there's a nice green candle that forms above this 472.45 mark. All right. So keep an eye on that right there, just to tighten up that trend line. So keep an eye, even if it does get into overbought territory, the mere fact that it's broken out of this trend is quite key. So once it has breached that level, and remember, it must be a nice green candle that forms above it. So in other words, you would either, if it forms in the morning, you can either wait for it for the next candle, which is what most CFD traders do, just in case there's one of these where it breaks out and then closes below it again. Okay, so just wait for that green candle to form above that level, which would give you a buy. And the next take profit level would be this higher, this lower high, which would be there. Because remember, when it does recover, it will then try and recoup its losses back to other resistance levels. So that would be your take profit part. Because what happens with shares is once they reach a key resistance level, they can either breach the level or pull back. And if at all it's struggling to breach that level, then it's time for you to then take the profits. Sometimes when it does breach that level, I'll give a sign of saying you could increase positions because it seems as if momentum could go to the next resistance level. All right, so that's how it kind of works. Excuse me. So yeah, wait for that green candle to form above 472.45, which will give us a buy level. Now I've put the stop loss to be just below these two lows, just in case it breaks out and pulls back, so it could be stopped out. Because with CFDs, you need to be stopped out quite quickly because of the gearing. It's really nice when it goes up, but when it goes down, it could make you quite fragile. So the stop loss there, oh, I forgot to put this up, but it's on the sheet here, which I will put on Telegram. I usually did put the stop loss. So it'll be something around, let's see, if you look at the low here, right there. So it would be around anything below 461.65. Let me see if I've got that. Yes, that is the stop loss on my chart, on my table right there. So that would be your stop loss. In fact, let me just write it down in case you want a recording of this. So what did I say? 461.55. All right, so that would be your stop loss right there. Okay. So that's the strategy. Ensure, this is what you must make sure of though, because this RSI will be quite key, because if it does form a green candle there and the RSI doesn't escape its bear trend, then the call might not just happen. So it's important that the RSI also breaks out and actually enters overbought territory. You can then start nibbling into it, and then yeah, take your profits there. And what the model will do is will alert you when it's now headed to taking your profits. It will turn blue or something like that. But if it seems as if momentum is still strong, then I would suggest you then stay in. But I mean, we will discuss this when BHP actually does trade above 508. So we'll just see whether it's struggling, in other words, topping out, or it has more VUMA to go up. All right. So that's the call with BHP Bulletin. Buy once there's a nice green candle that forms at 472.45. 508 would be your take profit, and that would be a stop loss level in case the call goes against us. All right. Next would be NH. Let's see now. Let me see. Okay, just for, I mean, let's see. Does it have a lot? It has a lot of upside momentum. As you may see, it's a monthly chart, so that's pretty cool. So what effectively it's been doing is falling within its bear trend. And what we're going to be doing is trying to maximize profits from this bear trend. So this trend line is dated back to about 2000, back to inception of 2016. So this black trend line is quite important. That's why I don't really erase it. But a buy signal with this RSI looking bullish, this positive divergence, Once it does trade above 944.45, nice green candle there, that will give us a buy signal, and this would be the stop loss level. All right, let me just make sure I've got it right. Yes, no, let me just put it in red. So the stop loss would be at 898.05. Okay. Oh, 8. Wait a minute. 898.05. Okay. So that would be what your stop loss is right there. Okay. So you'd buy, because once it does breach this second trend line within its bear trend, because you know trends can get steeper and steeper on the downside or even on the upside. Once it's breached the second trend line, which is quite important as well, because it's dated back to, let's just see. Sorry. So to the beginning of the year, which is in CFD terms, long enough. So once it does trade above that, it will then break out of this trend line with the aim of heading back to this the bolder trend line, which is a longer term trend line. The take profit is at 1,111.65, but once it does teeter on that, we'll have to keep a close eye on it, because if it reverses, then we're going to have to kill the trade. But if it does breach it, then you could, if it does breach it, in fact, trading above that, we'll see if we should take profit or even increase our positions. Okay, so when that happens, we'll be informed, at least by the table. But a buying position would be at 944.45, and with your stop loss being at 898.05. Okay. Yeah, watch that RSI. If it stays bullish, then that's a good sign. PRX, which is a new call. Okay, so PRX, this is how PRX has been looking. So still in its bear trend, it's been bearish since 2021. In fact, wait, sorry, it looks like my trend lines are not in order, but they kind of move when you're looking at the daily chart. So I'm just trying to tighten it there, because that's where. Okay, oof. All right. So let me just expand this so that you can see. All right. Okay. Sorry, I'm so pedantic when it comes to this. Okay. So as you may see, it's another trade that's in a bear trend, but you could profit from that upside move to that trend line. So the buy signal there was already given. So this was given on the 4th. That would have been on Friday. But its RSI was overbought, which is the reason why it pulled back. But it's now teetering back on that buying level, which is at 884.20. That's quite important, that if it does hold there tomorrow and forms a green candle, then that gives us the buying opportunity, or gives us the trigger to actually go long. Let me just do that. Gives us the trigger to actually go long. So watch out for its trading activity tomorrow. If at all it breaches that level, then don't initiate the position. And if it holds at 825, which is, as you can see, it's resistance there. It's a resistance that was accumulated in March, and I'm using it as a stop loss now. So what could happen is that if it continues to fall and it happens to hold at 825.15, then reverses back up and breaches that level, that's the only time I would then say go long. But I'm telling you this now so that you can prepare for this trade should it happen. But watch tomorrow's trading activity. If it's still bearish, put the call on ice. If there is that upside, then it makes that level a good buying opportunity, where you could then increase your positions at that point, and you can then take in the profits at 1,023.10, because by then it might be testing this resistance trend line. And if it breaches it, then obviously we'll increase positions, but if it doesn't, we will then close the trade. Okay, so that's the trading strategy. Be mindful of the fact that it's coming off overbought territory, so I'm going to delete that. And in fact, put a line. it's just tested twice, but let's see if it does bounce there again, because if it does bounce there again, that means the call might still be in place. Okay, but the call would be negated if it trades if PRX trades below 825.15. Then it means we have to put it on ice, and the selling for CFD terms would actually be at 815. Okay, so I'm not going to mention that, but just keep an eye on your RSI, draw that trend line, and keep an eye on that. If it bounces at 825, then you could go long. I would suggest you wait for it to actually reach the 880, 884.20 level, and not get in as it bounces from there, because you need that confirmation that it's actually going to potentially just go up to its next resistance, which is there. Okay, so once it does trade above 978.50, then you could increase positions, you know, add a few more, 2 more lots, you know, whatever shares, because then the take profit would be very close to this trend line. Okay, so that's the trading strategy with PRX. AGL. Okay, so with AGL, also, if you look at it, it's still kind of trading within, you know, the bullish end of its long-term bull trend right there. It tends to bounce on this. It's bounced one, respected it there, bounced, respected it, bounced again. So it could be forming what is known as a bottoming up pattern, where you will get, let's see, okay, where you would get downside, consolidation, and then upside. That's how bottom up pattern works. And so as you know, with the consolidation part, you'd have a support and resistance level. In this case, this would be the support level right there. So it would be that. Oopsie. Horizontal man. So right there. So this would be where it's ranging in. This is a field day for a lot of scalp traders, because they like these little erratic volatilities. I don't. I just wanted to confirm a level in which it breaks out. And in this case with AGL, it would give us a nice buy at 609.90. RSI is looking really healthy. Let me see if I just need to draw another trend line here. Please get yourself used to kind of drawing trend lines on the RSI. It is a leading indicator. It's got predictive qualities. So it's kind of teetering on there, and even if it breaches it and forms a green candle above 609.90, you could go long. All right, let's just see the weekly. Okay, weekly is just entered overbought territory, which is not as bad. I just don't like it when it's sitting in overbought territory like that, and then it gives you a buy signal, and that's going to be trouble. But it's just entering, still gives us room. So the buying level there would be at 690.90 cents. Once it trades above 643.55, you can increase positions. And then your take profit would be around there at 703. And if it reaches that, we could then also increase positions, and if the momentum continues. The stop loss level here would be at 584.10 in case anything goes wrong. So if you keep that level in mind. But yeah, this is the buying. So tomorrow, because you know it's hardly even overbought, tomorrow if it forms a nice green candle above there, yeah, you could initiate the position, because it would really mean it's now ended the consolidation phase and we could see the ascending phase. Let's see, there's a question. Hi Guru, can we get a recording please? Yes, you I'll show you how to get to recordings. Okay, all right, sure. Okay, so CPI, I don't want to waste too much of your time. CPI. So with CPI, you can see it's broken out of its long-term bear trend, rather bull trend. And this was undoubtedly corporate information when it pulls back like that, besides the fact that CPI has been the only banking share that has been outperforming, and just its celerity of upside has just been relentless. But we're seeing some upside around there, and it's giving us a buy at 1,920.80, with the next level being at 2,037.25. Now, if there's a green candle that forms above that level, tomorrow, its RSI is not even overbought yet. It is all systems go. But please, when it reaches this level, we need to keep an eye on it because it will be testing its trend line. But if it does breach it, then the takes profit would be at 2,172.05. All right. So watch out for that green candle when it forms, and you could go along there. Okay, and then the stop loss for that would be at right here, which is at 1,000. Where did I put it? Yeah, let me just write it down quickly for you. So it's 1,872.95. Okay, that would be a stop loss in case things go wonky. All right. So that's CPI. I'm loving the RSI, maintaining its uptrend, and weekly RSI. Also just got into overbought territory, not a big deal. Just don't go in when it's like that. Okay. Next would be Impala. Let's check Impala quickly. Wow, okay, Impala, I mean, quite volatile. I think its standard deviation here would be at 4, I think, or 3. So anything above 4 or 3 means it's a volatile share. But you know, the shares with high volatility are the ones that make you more money. It's approaching its buying level, which is at 203.95. This is a stop loss level there. Let me just see something here. Yeah, so this would be a stop loss. Let me make it red for you. 188.65. So that would be your stop loss level. RSI is pulling back a little right there. If you can see, it's formed a falling top, but you see how many times it's shied away from breaching this level. So you're only going to initiate this position when there's a green candle that forms above there. And I love the fact that the RSI won't be overbought, which will give room for upside. You could increase positions at 220 and then potentially take profits at 236.25. So just watch it tomorrow. If there is a green candle that forms above the buy, then that is a good thing. And I just mentioned that the RSI is just slightly overbought on the weekly RSI, which is fine. So watch out for that. Nice green candle that forms above there, you can initiate the position. And then that should be your stop loss. Next would be ABG. Okay, so this share is undoubtedly just surpassed all its secondary to now it's outperforming CPI big time. So it's actually breached its all-time high, which was at 195.40. It also relisted, it broke away from Barclays, so it's a fairly new share. So we're seeing a bit of a pullback, but if it holds above this 195.04, if you haven't initiated the position, and it kind of pulls back further, but then holds, and then bounces above this level, that will give you a buying opportunity. You could increase positions at 204.40, because that is its most recent high, and take profit would be at 224.75, which is a calculation of the width of that projected upwards. All right, so this would be, it's already giving us a buy, but just keep an eye that it holds above 195.14, because if it does that, then that's a good sign. Then we could see it trade through 204.40, potentially headed to its target 224.75. Right, stop loss there would be 191.55. Let's see where I got that. All right, so bullish, but just let's keep an eye on that level. If it does breach that level and you're in the share, I would suggest you close the position. But if it bounces on that level, then stay in. Okay, ShopRite. Okay, ShopRite. See, it's got some little bit of upside potential. Pulled back in the form of a flag, so it's now broken out of its flag. Gave us a buy at 226.90 and has bounced on that level. That's pretty cool. RSI remaining bullish, but it's also important that the RSI remains bullish whilst it's retaining support at 226.90, because if it does, the RSI breaks out, then that means we could anticipate downside to the stop loss level. And then in this case, it's at 220. That's where the stop loss is, right there. So if you're in, stay in. If it trades below that level, then maybe close your position. But yeah, you could then, once it trades above 240, you could increase positions. And then where is the take profit here? The take profit would be at 255.40, which is its all-time high. Okay, watch the RSI, please. All right, and then it's Netbank. Netbank, so the buying level there was at 217 because it's we bought it at the, so it's negated this falling top formation. So it's a falling top, falling top, falling top, falling top, falling top. So it's negated that. So 217 becomes a buy level. It's now headed to the next resistance, which is at 224.30. Once it trades through there, we can then see it go to 229 and then to the resistance trend line or the 239.40 mark, which is your take profit level. Okay, so if you're in, stay in. But the minute it trades below 217, close positions. Yeah, the stop loss, you can either close positions once it trades through that, or you could just wait for the stop loss to be triggered at 213, because another thing is it could fall, bounce like it has been doing there, and trade back up there, which then means you have to get in and then get out of the position. So you can choose the trading strategy you want to follow. Either get out when you could either lock in your profits and break even, or you could wait until it tests your trades towards the stop loss, and if it bounces, then that means you're still in the trade. Okay, RSI only testing twice, but it's interesting to see if it will bounce back up there. If it does, then it means this upside that we're seeing will most likely continue. All right. The ID. So that's broken out of this bear trend that it's in. And we're seeing it form these rising bottoms. So the buy level there's at 313. Stop loss is at 293. So 293.70. So that's where you would buy. So if there's a green candle that forms there, you can see the RSIs have been dropping a little. So although it did close above it, it tends to pull back. So it's always important that the key here is to make sure that when you do go long, that there's a green candle that forms above that. That means you shouldn't go long on an intraday basis, because you might just end up being in this position where it breaches but then closes below it, which also then means this level is quite important, because it's, as you could see, it was support resistance. It's a key psychological level. So once that psychological level has been breached, we could see that upside. So you're only initiating position when there's a green candle that forms above there, with the take profit being at 322.10. Yeah, so that's it with the call. Wait for it to trade above that level before you go long. All right, and then the last 1, 2, 3. Okay, so INP. Okay, INP, I've always loved it, but it didn't pull back a lot this year, which was irritating. But it actually has now broken out of that that bearish funk that it was in, and has reached a buying level without being overbought. This is awesome. So you could initiate this position tomorrow if you want, with your target being at 88.20. You could increase positions at 98.60, and the take profit is 106.35. All right, this is how I would like to see, shares at this point. This becomes a nice high probability share when it's not overbought. And the thing is, let's see, the weekly RSI is overbought. Okay, so in this call, keep an eye on the weekly RSI, but weekly RSIs can stay overbought for a week or two, so on. But what this is telling us is that if you do initiate the position, do it with caution, and keep an eye on your RSI, on your weekly RSI. When that pulls back, then you should close the position. All right. Same with INL. Also not overbought. RSI, weekly RSI has been sitting in overbought territory. So if it continues, because it has, the point is, these levels, it has struggled for some time to breach this level, and now that it's breached it, the weekly RSI can remain slightly overbought for extended periods, so you don't have to miss out on that upside. So you can increase positions. So that's the thing. If the RSI is overbought, if it trades to the weekly RSI is overbought, if it trades up to this level and then pulls back, that's because the weekly RSI could have then decided to pull back. So exercise caution when you do this trade. Okay, but everything else is giving the thumbs up in terms of a day trade or a day or two trade or something or whatever. But just keep an eye on your stop loss and keep an eye on your weekly RSI. Okay, and then it is BVT. In a little bit of a triangle. Let me see. Will this be a high probability? Okay, RSI is looking good. In fact, it had already breached a buying level, which is at 209. Oopsie, it's at 209. So now we needed to breach the 217, where you can increase positions and take profit level. Oh my goodness, is at 231. So this is why did it disappear to go that far? So this would be where your take profit is. So once it breaches 217, you could either increase your positions or go long if you haven't bought yet. Then that's the next take profit stage right there. Okay. Cool, that is your stop loss level. But of course, if this level gets breached, we'll find another level somewhere that will be a stop loss. All right. So keep an eye on it. Tomorrow, our weekly RSI is looking good. If there's a green candle that forms above this level tomorrow, you could go long. It means you would have missed the opportunity. You would have missed that trigger at 209, but it's fine. The take profit there would be at 231. All right. NPH. Okay, these are the last three that I'm doing. As you can see, broken out of a bear trend. A buy signal was actually at 180. It's kind of pulling back a little. So I wouldn't just wait to see where this pullback is going to go if you want to initiate the position. All right. If it pulls back and bounces above 180, you could go long. So it goes down and then forms a green candle above 180, you can go long. You can increase positions at 194.65 with the take profit being at 260.95. All right. This is where your stop loss level is. Please keep that in mind in case things go the opposite direction. So what the RSI is, it's dropping a little, meaning this upside momentum is probably starting to slow a little. So if there's a green candle that forms, let it form, but it must bounce at 180. It must preserve that support. If it doesn't and trades through it, then put the call on ice, or if you're in the share, you could close positions. Okay. Increase your share sizing at 194.65, and that's your take profit at 260.95. All right, then it's Woolworths, second last one. Woolworths, a lot of upside potential from the monthly chart. As you can see, it's traded up to 108. Weekly, not overbought, slightly coming off an overbought position. It's fine. Remember, the weekly is it's about the weekly RSI. So where it closes on Friday is important. It might look like this today, and tomorrow it might look different because it's based on the levels for the week. Okay, unlike the daily one, which is more definitive, that that's the price in which the RSI is trading in and so forth. So the buying level there is at 655. So once it breaches that, you see it did breach intraday and pull back, struggling a little. But if it forms a nice green candle above 655.55, then it's a good time to go long. Increase positions at 68.60, and then that would be your take profit. All right. So yeah, also kind of ensure that the RSI breaks out of there, even if it gets into overbought territory, and it trades through there. Because it's a level it's been struggling to breach since 2001. No, actually, no, not that one. So it's breached that level. So yeah, there is upside potential here. At first, I was worried that it was going to form a double top because it wasn't trading through this level. But now that it's attempting to do that, it means there are buyers out there to buy. So wait for a green candle to form there tomorrow. If there's no green candle that forms, please don't initiate the position. It means it could fall back to probably 63.20, but if it bounces above 63.20 and trades above that, that would be another rising top, giving us a nice buy signal, potential upside to 78.60, and then 76.60. Okay, and then the last one is M. Okay, that already gave us a buy signal at 10.25 with the stop loss being at 10. But it's kind of pulled back. If it forms a green candle above 10.25, then that should give you a nice buy signal, and you could increase positions at 11 Rand 15, and then take profits at 12 Rand. Okay, so wait for the green candle to form above that. If there is no green candle and there's further downside, wait for the downside to fizzle out. And if all mutual holds above 10, so if it does that, but then bounces above 10.25, then you could go long. Okay, there's a lot of upside potential within this bear trend. A lot of trades can be made within the bear trend, so don't worry about the fact that it's bearish. Okay, weekly RSI is looking good, just coming off. It's fine. Just watch it for the next 2 days. If another red candle forms, stay out. The green candle bounces, you could then initiate the position, but keep your stop losses in order. In this case, the stop losses will, once it does continue with its upside, we'll find another closer stop loss than the 10 Rand mark. Okay. All right, guys, that's it. This is what I will post on the Telegram, just so that you have the levels, but at least you saw my reasoning for that. And to get to the recording, okay, give me a sec. I just need to, where's my Encompass? All right, so if you, I always say this, so it's Encompass Education. So Encompass Education webinars, click on that. And then live webinars archives, click on this tab, and that's where you will find this recording. Okay, so education, webinars, and then when it comes to it will automatically come to share tracking webinars. Go to live webinars archives, and the drop down will have the most recent recording. All right, I hope you found this useful, guys. I'll stop rambling too much so that we make it within the space of 30 minutes, but unless there are a lot of shares, I'll let you know in advance. Okay, so yeah, this is how we test period. If it works out for you guys, it's excellent. Give us your insight about it. Thank you, very helpful. Oh, you're welcome, Ryan. You're very welcome. Okay, on Thursday, I'm going to go back to my long-term investors. We're going to be looking at, what are we looking at Thursday? Oh, we're looking at the health, you know, your Aspens, MEIs, all of that. That's for more of the long-term investors. Thank you, Brett. Thank you, Brett. He says it's informative. That's a key. Thank you. So, right. So that's how we'll do this. And then I think we're going to skip a week and then do, unless there's popular demand to have the CFDs on Tuesdays, that's what we'll do. But I'm going to still take care of my long-term investors. So don't worry. Okay. Oh, another question. Thanks for the tips. You're welcome, Mike. All right. This is so encouraging, guys. Thank you. All right. So have yourselves an awesome evening, and see you on, inverted commas, on Thursday at 1, +1 for more of the longer term investors. That will be for Thursday. Cool. Okay. Keep CFDs on Tuesday. Okay. We'll yeah. Okay. We'll see to that. I think if you really like it, then definitely will. Seems like you guys are liking it, so I'm grateful for that. Okay. Anyway, I waste too much of your time. I could really go on. But yeah, I'll send the Telegram right now so that you can just see what's happening. Have an awesome, awesome Tuesday evening and a week ahead. From me, toodles.